Thank you so much, Eva Mikey. Always holding me true. So, uh, what we've got working on here is, Vayeate, and that is just a mighty fine rifle that we've got going on there so far. This is the wire that it came with to really show it off and make that connection. Got a little bit of painting still left to do up in there, but we're going to do those touches a little bit later. I wanted to use a different color. But looks super solid in general. This is we just taped it off and then we painted the yellow first and then painted the black over on top of it. The middle piece though, I know I want to show you how that's going to be done. I have put the first coat on. That's a Tamiya gunmetal. I didn't want to go straight black as well for that, so I chose to use a different format in order to make that happen. And then of course I just once I got it all painted up, I was like, I've got to attach it. I've got to see how it looks so as well. So excited to show you that it looks just like that, and it's pretty solid. I did use some clear red and a little bit of clear blue as well to kind of make it that pinkish color there that we've got going on. So, but that's where Vayeate's at right now. We are actually going to be jumping into the arms pieces. Specifically here. That's our big thing to knock out next. Is getting those arms cut out, ready to go. There is going to need to be some painting for them. Excuse me. Additionally to that, um, actually quite tired, but it's super exciting to be able to be back in the saddle. It's like been almost like 3 weeks. I feel like so. But due to some internet issues and some other things, put us behind kind of the schedule for it, as I would like to say. But no fear, actually, big news in that regards is that I am working to swap out internet providers because I could just not handle that low latency for you guys, and it's, not fun to stream and have you guys not being able to participate and or listen. So we are getting that fixed up in that regards. So first things that we got looking up here, lots of different pieces as a matter of fact. These duplicate C2s and the C3 and C4 actually makes it kind of difficult to track down these parts correctly as well, but it looks like it's this guy. We just need to grab two of them from somewhere. We're not going to bother cutting all four out. Even though it kind of tells you to do it twice again, so 2 times 2 is 4. We got all 4 pieces, but we are just going to focus on our V8 parts for this. Only a few light blues right here. There we go. And we know we're going to need these two. We're going to see how these fit first, though, before we commit to putting them fully together. These are pieces that are going to need to be painted, because this blue is kind of actually ugly, if you ask me. But, so they're ugly, and because of that, we also need to do a little bit of sanding, touch them up with the other blue that we have made for it. We did make a light blue for this Gundam as well, because it does leave nub marks here. Oh, sorry, I just noticed it was super quiet. We are going to cut them all out, see what happens, right? Well, I'm not looking to get the red ones. There's the red and the blue this time, so we're not doing red versus blue. Just because I haven't made the red color yet for it. So, Nihilistic Doom, thanks for mentioning that up. I recognize that name. Good to see you out here tonight. Finally got a face with the handle. Let's go with that. Face with the handle. All right, let's check it out. We're going to drop these into their place. Alright, so that's going to be the ball joint itself. That's going to kind of pop into the socket right here. It's going to jump into right there. But we also have these other, there's going to be some, we got some, these gray pieces right here. They're going to slide into that. So it looks like we got to do a fair amount of painting actually before we even assemble this piece. But the good news is that, yeah, let me get a little bit of zoom in here. And check this out. So on this particular build, check it out, we actually have a panel line right here inside of it. Sorry, the light's getting a little bit harsh. So there's a panel line here, so that's actually going to be really good. So we're actually going to push this in together, sand it down, and yeah, that'll be a nice, real easy just panel line to get that nice and smooth and have a nice, good, deep, rich color there to separate it out. So that's gonna be great. So we're gonna separate these out, paint them as individual pieces, and then we will put them all together. So the super fun part of every time we are building together, that is some sanding. But as this is rounded, we actually want to give this some good TLC as we work on it. So we are going to be rounding with it and trying not to be too hard in general, just because we could flatten that out. And we are definitely not wanting to flatten that out. We need to keep that nice spherical shape that it has, but also get rid of those nub marks. So when you are sanding circles or spheres like this, you do want to kind of course, arc your sanding. Don't go straight down. Let the sandpaper do the work and pull it off. Specifically, it's not going to take a lot of work here. This plastic is a good plastic. It's one of the newer model kits in general, so it is coming off pretty easily. And Nihilistic Doom, now you see why I cannot do Wednesday nights for Dark Souls. When else am I going to have time to build giant beam rifles like we see in Vayeate over there? So you can see we don't have any flat parts or anything. It's nice and still spherical. We're going to go through the grits here, still being just as gentle as well. And you can kind of see I'm going with the plastic, not pressing hard. We want to keep that sphere shape still very, very much. I think I actually forgot to do the lower grid here. I just noticed the music is just taking forever to load. I don't know why that was. I am hardline in there and it was just way too quiet. Sorry you had to suffer me the whole time. Now, we don't have to go beyond 800 because we know we are going to paint this. But 800 is a nice, good, smooth texture. But if you're going to, once again, just use the piece by itself, I highly recommend going up to like 1,000 to maybe even 1,500 as well. And they make some good like buffing blocks per se as well. Those buffing blocks work really, really good with plastic. You can also just buy a nail file block buffer. I wouldn't recommend that if you can do otherwise, just because the nail file buffer is they tear up so easily. against these plastics. The plastic, weirdly enough, is can be sharper than your nails sometimes. I know that sounds weird, but we also are not going to go with that super low grit of the buffer when working on these. So alright. This is the last one here. And so this actually rotates all the way up, which is pretty cool too. But now I'm going to get good old broken pick here and start working these apart now. So that way we can take them out to be painted. But I'm super stoked actually that they don't need to be like seam line repaired or anything for it. It's just going to be a nice, hey, let's clean it up while it's together as well. And that's a big thing, is I clean these up while they're together to avoid over sanding the edges. We want to keep the edges still nice and crisp, and it's very easy to over sand when they're separated. And so this line right here would excuse me, this line right here, you could actually over sand that and round it inward just by doing, once again, normal sanding and even being soft with it. The extra support of the other side is what really helps that out, so it doesn't go that way. So it does not go that route. These joints are going to stick in super strong when we put them in there as well. The pegs are tough in the first place, but the fact that it's also been painted, or these will all be painted as well, it's going to make them very, very strong. Hopefully it's not going to be too stiff, which is kind of my fear. We're going to work a little bit down here. I want to adjust that camera focus just a little bit. It was a little bit too harsh. Alright, there we go. So we don't have to paint these at all. They're going to stick in. These joints are also painted, so it's going to make it really, really stiff. If you paint them again, it's going to make them extremely stiff, and then even have the possibility of like ripping each other apart a little bit, per se. So let's check out these next pieces though. These next pieces are like the caps over it. They actually snap onto this, but over the ball joint itself. I'm kind of worried about this, and the reason why is because it looks like it's like they're coming together on top of it, and so that might make a nasty seam in general, and that's the kind of thing that I just don't live with. So let's check them out. See if they make a nasty seam. And if so, that's going to make our painting job, like we're going to have to paint these shoulder pieces, assemble them, and then tape them off, and then paint these afterwards as well. So that's the hard way to do it. But if this is the case and they don't have, and they are going to be seamed together, I think the best bet here is actually to panel make a new panel line for it. Scribe into it what we need, and it would be, I mean, it would definitely look like a normal element to have it scribed in the first place as well. So we may even do a custom scribe too here, not just the seam, but even add some additional flair. So let's check it out. I'm not going to cut out these little A1s right here, these little circles that you can kind of see. They're going to go inside of there. I'm not going to cut those out right now just because there's some focus that we need to have here. I'm going to get onto single blades. Trim this down a little bit more. This Gundam by default has a really nice blue to work with. That's a good color. I want it a little bit softer, not so navy blue. Which is why I've gone with, I think this is, weirdly enough, electric blue is the name of the color. But it blends well with the sky blue that we made for it. So hopefully you're building along with me, whether it's Warhammer, whether it's another Gundam yourself. Let's have some fun building together. Yet that is going to leave a very nasty seam line. There's no escaping that. Without, once again, the hard part, we can go the hard route. We can do the seam line repair through, like, once again, the do like some liquid cement or something like that to fix that up. Some putty. We're not going to do either one of those things because in this case, it really is just going to be best to repair this using creating its own panel line. So thinking about it though, I'm going to give a little thought here to it. We got this piece here. We got those that hang down. It kind of ends right here, so we could panel line, we're going to panel line this of course, but do we want to have something going down on the edges per se? I think that might even be too much as a matter of fact. Let's see. It's probably not much bigger than 3 mil. Yeah, it's a little bit bigger than 3 mil, so we could actually put a piece of tape here as well to give it some additional depth right here. But do we do that both sides, and where do we stop actually? Is some of those next questions to really answer here. Big thing that we know for sure. We're going to take away that seam line by scribing it. So I'm going to put it right up against it in general. Make sure it's even all the way down and on both sides. And there we go. Now that's the for that base panel line that we're going to do. Now the reason why I pulled it apart though a little bit is we didn't want to see which side we were actually doing it on, so we're even. Okay, so we got that. Still debating whether or not we want to do that, like additional scribe lines right here. I just don't know where I would want to stop. If I get started, where would we stop? So for that, I think I'm just going to do the repair itself for it. Let's see what size we're at. Oh, we're too small. When mending like these type of seam lines, we do want to give it a little bit of size here as well. I don't have any additional slices with me. How about that? It's either where I have to be put on hold to watch the rest of that scribing, or we skip over for now. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it. There's still very much more to do for the arms in general. Those are ready to go. Let's get these joints taken care of. Let's get the rest of the arms. Especially because it looks like we got a few just like solid pieces going on here. Not a lot of extra work going on, which that's sometimes the best. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to clean that up though. Let's get our nice old round piece. Alright, there we go. That's literally the rest of the arm part, it looks like. Excluding the joints. We gotta get the joints here too. The joints has got a... Where are we at? It says C3 or C49. Number 9. Here it is. Is that... Oh, it actually snaps on the inside in there? Oh, curious. Very curious. Yeah, that punchy fit is what it says in Japanese for us. C311. Oh, then it's got a solidifying piece after. That's actually really cool. I don't think I've actually seen that on any other Gunpla so far. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that. Like it snaps into the actual frame of the arm itself, and then it has this like cap piece that goes over it as well. That's really, really cool. Well done, engineering team. Those simple things that makes the Gundams great. Alright, that's one side. Let's get the other side now. I'm super stoked to once again have these arms set up and have them like holding the gun and everything. I remember when I first saw like Hito in the episode trying to like destroy Mercurius and Vayeate, and Vayeate's gun just like charging up, turning on, firing at Mercurius, Mercurius blocking it. I was like, man, that's just super awesome. It was a great sight to see in the anime itself. So, but alright, now it's time to clean these pieces up a little bit. It doesn't, I mean, they are literally just snapped together. Looks like we got a little bit of a lip right here, which is great. But it looks like we're also going to have to do some seam line repair. Look at that, right here. Have to be seam line repaired. The front side, though, has no issues whatsoever. It is perfect as is. The good news is, once again with this, no additional pieces go inside, no additional pieces outside. We can seamline repair it, paint it up, all together. Alright. So before I jump into those other pieces, I'm going to take care of these. I have the super fast drying one tonight. The other one is out in the paint shop for rebuilding my second kit now that my kids have. And man, was I a doofus when I really first started helping them build Gundams. I was thinking, hey, my kids, you know, they're going to be rough on these things. Let's go ahead and super glue some of these parts so they can, you know, be strong. Well, I was no doubt correct with them being rough on the Gundams, but at the same time, though, I would definitely not recommend gluing parts unless they have to. You never know when you're going to want to redo them. And that's made it really, really tough in this instance. Like some of these Gundams, they've been glued so strongly together that it's like darn near impossible to take them apart and work on them again. So, needless to say, slightly disappointed myself for that. Alright, gonna press it nice and firmly together. Oh yeah, I got a good... That just fits so well. And you can see, like, outside of these seam lines that have to be repaired right here, this is perfect. Beautiful, even. And that actually fit real good together. I think this next one, though, I'm going to do 3 coats on instead of just 2. Don't forget, it's that time of the year that if you've got Batman Arkham Origins on PC or get it on consoles, PS3, Xbox 360, do yourself a favor, play some Batman Arkham Origins this holiday season. And if you need a Christmas movie, go watch Gundam Wing in the Swats. Great Christmas movie. There was a really, really, how to say, terrible miscalculation inside of in the Swats movie. They talk about going to get the Gundams, and all this is like taking place over like a 24-hour time period when they are going to get the Gundams that are at Venus, like they're almost to the orbit of Venus. They talk about how the disposal block is 50 days away from Venus. Like that's their actual words, is 50 days away. Well, that's definitely not 24 hours. And so even if the planetary transport is like super fast, right, like they called it, there was no way they got to Venus in 24 hours when that disposal block was 50 days away. Simple math dictates that, once again, if they're 50 days away and they got there in 24 hours, they would be 49 days away from Venus. But yet they use Venus that catapults back to Earth in no time. That really just does not make sense. But hey, it's space, it's what was it? It's sci-fi physics. That's how it boils down to. Alright, there we go. We're going to let these bad boys dry. That's going to be their next stage before we start sanding them. these look like we might be able to just straight paint them, because all these little nubs are just gonna come off so cleanly, and they are indeed. It's perfect. That just needs to be painted. That's it. Alright, there's that. These are gonna be, oh, yep, that was even just coming off super easy. A bit too easy. Still needs to be sanded though. And I think we're also just going to go ahead and get the hands clipped out as well. So for this, we got a fist as well as like an open palm option as well. So for the left hand, we're definitely going to go open palm because that's going to be holding underneath the gun. The hands actually got really good details too. But it looks like it comes with a lot of hands though in general. So if we get 3 in this one runner, and it's also got some C2 parts. Yeah, it's C12, C212. Okay. So they only have one of these per runner. That makes a little bit more sense. I was like, man, 6 hands for each Gundam? That's gonna be way too many. Yeah, there we go. It's so simple, but yet so smooth. This has been a great build so far. I mean, I've heard nothing but good things about the Leo suit, which this is what it's based off of as well. It's like Leo Tallgeese had a baby and gave him new weapons. I mean, let's be real. That's how they look inside of the show, though, as well. Sorry, I had my table a little bit too far away, doing all the work, and you couldn't see it. Oh, that's very nice, Evo Mikey. As a matter of fact, is that the you get the master grade version for it, or do you have the high grade version? It's a great build right there. And as a matter of fact, that right there might be your first scratch build if you wanted it. Well, scratch build. Check that. Kind of kit bash. Because if it is the high grade, I remember you mentioning that you also had the real grade version, if I'm not mistaken. You did the real grade strike. You can work on making that backpack sit in the high grade version, and that would be actually in the master grade version, and that would be super legit. Strike Rouge. Strike Obatari. Otori kit. Funny. Otori means eagle, but it really translates into big bird. Yes. As in like Sesame Street, Big Bird. Thank you, Japanese, for original words for some of their. It's weird, like like animals are unique in Japanese because almost all of them are katakana. But the big exception is fish. Fish has their own kanji for like everything. Oh, nice. That's the MG version. That's gonna look great once you're done. It's gonna be a great shelf piece right there. Give that a little bit of top coat if you can. Panel line it. It'll look phenomenal. That's a good looking kit. I'm excited to eventually get to my strike set. I have that one as well. And I've been dying to. I have a cool diorama idea. It's one of the only hanger ideas that I have. But for the strike set, I want to actually make a hanger where it shows Strike in his deactivated mode. And then from his deactivated mode, it has on the sides like closed walls as well, but on those closed walls is like on some sort of crane. I haven't decided how we're going to do it yet. But on the crane is actually holding up the different packs that go on the left and right shoulders, because I've got all the packs for it, and then have all the jet packs like hanging on top of it, once again in the hanger itself. So make a custom design hanger for Strike to show it in deactivated mode with all the different parts available for it. It's my dream diorama in general. I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet. I got more skills to learn for sure. Got to build some stuff. But we'll get there one day. Actually, the other day I pulled out like the whole Gundam collection to make sure I had them all grouped together nice and easily, and especially because I'm at the tail end of it. I'm at the tail end of having all the Gunpla that I've wanted. I'm just waiting for a few of them to come in that I've pre-ordered. So the Astray Master Grade, which I don't know if you saw, I reposted that it was back available. So Karama Toys is where it's at right now. Is the only place I've seen it successfully. You can find some of it on eBay, but it's kind of weird with eBay. Those pre-orders. And they usually upcharge them too. I did it once. Shenlong Liao. Yeah, I got bit in the. Well, I didn't get bit. I got the kit, but I got it for more expensive than what it was. And I should have waited for because P Bandai ended up having it, US wise. Which P Bandai is, shipping local, and it's. Oh, nice! So you Evo Mike, you got Astray Red F type as well. That's gonna be so awesome. That's gonna be a great kit. Yeah, I'm super stoked for that. That's one of those kits that I'm waiting for. That as soon as it comes in, I'm gonna build it. Have to stop what I'm working on and build it. So. And if we want to have a dual stream as well, where we're building it both, that'd be awesome. And I will for a fair amount of my times. I mean, if you remember with like the Death Scythe, like I don't paint everything on the master grades. I only paint what's gonna stand out or if I don't like the colors already. So just because those master grades are usually true to form. But yeah, a good top coat fixes most of that stuff anyway for the master grades. Which is why I'm suggesting we do a dual build at the same time again. Both posted. Alright, those are ready to be painted, those are ready to be painted. I think we've only got these circular rings right here to finish up. That and the scribing that I mentioned about. Oh, this has got actually like a lip there. Maybe. And once again with these rounded pieces, make sure you're going with the plastic, not pushing hard. Letting it guide itself. Gets rid of that nub without damaging the rings or the circular portions. Man, listen to that lo-fi piano going on there. Ooh. My grandmother's actually she's a concert level pianist. She doesn't give herself enough credit. She's granted she's like 85 nowadays. She doesn't play nearly as much as she used to. She's got a nice grand piano at her house and she's been playing since she was, I think she's since very, very young. So that last little bit there was very nostalgic for me. We would just go over to her house, kind of hang out. She had like a little fireplace in the middle of her house. It's the best way to describe it. And we would just sit there and relax. And it's like a Sunday afternoon. And she would just play the piano in the background. Some of it was just like scat playing like we just heard, or it was she'd play some pieces. She's quite fond of the romantics. There's, you know, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, stuff like that. So, a little bit about my family there. I don't know what she's gonna do with that piano though. Ooh, it's gonna come a time. None of us sadly know how to play it. But it's a mighty fine piece. And I have no place to put it. Ooh. Could you imagine having to like take a piano and put it in your place? You definitely have to have a dedicated spot for that. Alright, so this lip is not very high, so it'd be easy to sand away. So we're going to be very, very careful. But not so much right here. This piece just needs to be flattened pretty good. Same right here. And then we're gonna be careful here. Yeah, we're gonna fix the seam line, but we also don't want to lose, like, there's a panel line already existing right there, so we don't want to get rid of that. very hard one to sand because it's also curved right here. It's not angular at all. We might have to go a little bit more aggressive. I'm worried about it. I am worried about it. But let's see what we got. If we start to lose that panel line, I mean, we could scribe it back in again, but I would hate to do that. A little bit too much sanding though. I'm not liking this piece. But it's almost there. There's a few more marks. And still the panel line is there. I'm gonna make it just a little bit deeper. Because the sanding definitely took away a lot of it. Some of its depth. But it should be pretty good. No. And this is actually a really easy trick to make some of those panel lines that maybe they're not sticking well enough, or you know, you're pre-painting and stuff and you see that it's like it's blending in. Just take your scribe tool and you can deepen those. Just get your smallest bit. You're gonna start getting rid of some of those scratches. Yeah, there we go. And you can see we almost got that gone. This is why I do prefer the thicker cement though for it. Maybe it's just my thin one is almost used up, but I definitely find better results with the thicker one though in general. When it comes to making these seam line repairs. It's a nice like goopy version, so you can feel like it's melting down, and you're able to let it sit overnight. And I mean, this one I guess technically let it sit overnight, but it's already way dry because it's so thin that it dries quickly. And last but not least, our 800. And voila! Seam line is technically gone. That little bit of plastic is just, you know, it's just plastic dust stuck in there for a little bit, mixed in with it. So it'll be just fine. When it comes to painting, you won't even see it at all. So there were some other nubs there, so I got rid of them. There's nubs in this, a little bit of unevenness. We're going back over real fast to get them all cleaned up. This is also a great stopping point for the night. Sorry to get to show the scribing for the shoulders, um, specifically there. They're pretty straightforward as far as the scribing goes. We're just going to scribe right there at the seam line itself to make it happen. We'll show that next time though as well, because we'll show it up before we actually paint it, just to make sure we have everything taken care of for it. So, alright, for the most part though, our arms are ready for the paint shop. The exception being those pieces on the shoulders, those brackets there. Brackets, braces, I don't even know what they're called. We got to cut out those little gray pieces as well. We'll paint those before we actually will set them in addition to that. So that's our pieces for Vayeate tonight. So we got our arms once again pretty much done in general. I'm really excited to set them into place and see how they look in general out there. Well, look overall once we get them placed into the suit. So really cool arm design. We didn't snap these in because we're gonna need to paint these first, but these snap in and then you push them back and they stay in like that. That's really actually super cool. So I'm hoping to see actually more arm designs like that in the future. But either way, thanks for spending about an hour with me as well, letting me know that I'm on mute. Hopefully, you got some new techniques to take in your way, or just reaffirm the things that we've already been doing as well. So enjoy your build tonight as well, Evo Mikey, and we will catch you on the next time. Have a good evening.